I actually showered and put on clothes, so we're doing better today than every other day. What's up, everyone? I'm glad to have you back. About a month ago, I took this grand leap, and my birthday gift to myself was making my first YouTube video, which, to be totally fair, is something I probably should have and also could have done like a really, really long time ago, but you mix in like anxiety with life, things usually take a little longer than maybe they should. But we're here, and I guess it's better late than never. It's been a weird month, to say the least.
It was the month that a new coronavirus that had infected tens of thousands in China became a global pandemic.
The coronavirus death toll rising.
If we look at the number of cases, the US is still the most alarming.
But despite nearly 260 reported deaths in China, there are no fatalities in the US, and health experts say the risk to the general public is low.
Yeah, weird was a bit of an understatement. I, like most people, am just trying to navigate how to live during all of this, and it's not easy by any means. And I think being stuck between feeling like I've got free time and I've got a break and I can sleep, and feeling like I need to be productive, and then also feeling like I need to survive and take care of my family, is kind of a mess of emotions and feelings to try to navigate. As a result, it's really difficult for me, at least, to pretend like things are normal. For me to try and make a video like I'm doing now and not acknowledge what's going on in the world. It's just something I don't particularly want to do, so I'm acknowledging it. I'm talking about it directly. Besides consuming every piece of news and media that I can, which probably isn't the healthiest thing I could be doing right now, I've decided to try and do somewhat normal things amidst all of this. Constantly being worried about what's going on and feeling like I'm not doing enough is tough, because there isn't a ton I can do right now, but what I can do is just make sure that I'm okay, and that the people around me are okay, and that the people that I speak to and that listen to me are okay. In the interest of my anxiety and my mental health, we're gonna do some things that kind of make me feel good, like talking into a microphone in front of a camera. So if you saw my first video, you know I went to Chicago and I built a PC to start off this new year. If you haven't seen that, please. Imagine I'm like Vanna White, or this is like The Price is Right. Just please watch the video, thank you. And so I've been using the PC every day since I've brought it home, and I wanted to kind of recount some of the difficulties that I've had, as well as just talk about all of the amazing things that it has done for me and that it has allowed me to do. One of the main reasons I've been thinking about my performance upgrade so much is everything that's going on in the world, and every creative and artist I know is now stuck at home. People who professionally entertain large groups of people can no longer do that, and they've got to figure out how to create wherever they're at. I think all too often self-sufficiency is something that isn't really taught or talked about in artistic communities, and I think now more than ever it's important to kind of realize the value of being able to make what you make out in the world at home. So we're going to talk about what machine I was using for my photography and video work before, what I'm using now, how they're different, and whether or not I recommend you consider doing something similar. Also, disclaimer, before we get into the benchmarks, it's important to note this comparison isn't scientific or fair. We're comparing two things that are totally different. One is going to wash the other. The point is, this is my actual workflow. These two computers are the things that I work on daily. So when I first got into photography and video work, I was editing off of an old iMac that I got as a gift, and it was a blessing. Got me through the first 2 years of college, and I loved every second of it. It was slow and loud and hot, but it worked, and up until then, it was the best computer I had owned until I got the next best computer I owned. This is my 13-inch 2017 MacBook Pro. I pulled the trigger on this thing and it was amazing. As a person who was on the move a lot, I needed something portable, and the 13-inch was just that. It's super lightweight, incredibly designed, especially since early on I was doing mainly pictures, which, I mean, most devices nowadays can handle. My MacBook 1080p video, easy, no problem. Things got difficult if I wanted to work with like a 4K timeline. All in all, amazing. I've loved every second of owning this laptop besides the whole dongle thing. As I started doing more and more video work, like I just mentioned, the MacBook wasn't quite cutting it out. It became really uncomfortable to like sit in a chair kind of hunched over with a really small screen. So I bought a monitor and had like a keyboard and a mouse, and I would just like connect my laptop and make my little fake desktop setup so much more productive. I highly recommend anyone who's doing anything creative, if you've got a laptop, consider making a desk space. The portability of a laptop is amazing because you can work anywhere, but having a dedicated space where you work with a larger screen, peripherals, things that make it more comfortable to work for extended periods of time, plus the added screen space. You know, if you're not going to build a PC, if you don't have the money for building a PC and you're working on a laptop, please at least consider doing that. And that was kind of the final nail in the coffin for me when I plugged in the monitor and I plugged in the keyboard and I plugged in the mouse and felt myself enjoying work more. I was like, I have to buy one now. So that's my MacBook. That's how I've been using it. Here are the specs. I bought it a couple years ago for around $2,000, so price-wise, there's kind of a fair comparison, because if you watched the last video, that's the budget that I had for my PC. So now what we're gonna do is run some unfair, very unscientific tests, and we'll see how the two things stack up. So the first test we're going to run is Cinebench. Cinebench is a cross-platform test suite, so you can get it on Mac, you can get it on PC, and the point of it is to benchmark your CPU. It's to see what your CPU is capable of. So if you're a video editor or an animator or a graphic designer, this is a really, really helpful and useful test. And as everyone expected, it's not close. The PC that is newer and better and stronger all around completely washes my old MacBook. Now, the next thing we're going to run is Geekbench, which again is another cross-platform benchmark. And again, there's no competition. It's seeing the numbers. It's just insane to think about how your money can yield such differing results in terms of your machine and your hardware, depending on your needs. The second to last test we ran was called Heaven. Heaven is more of a gaming, animation, and rendering focused benchmark. I don't recommend gaming on a Mac. It's possible you can play some games on a Mac, but generally speaking, consoles and PCs perform significantly better. Now, when I ran Heaven, I didn't play with the settings too much just because I wanted Heaven to recommend settings that were tailored to my MacBook and tailored to my PC, mainly because I still use my MacBook and I didn't want it to catch on fire. After seeing these tests, you see, yes, it is possible to game on a MacBook, but benefits are just insane. Now, the final test, which is probably more practical than all of the benchmarks that we've ran and a little closer to home. My first YouTube video, one of the longer personal vloggy type videos that I've ever made. It was about 13 minutes long. There's a lot of footage. I shot just about everything in 4K and then downscaled it to 1080p just because it's easier. So there's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of tasks that are being completed. Personally, I like to render out my timeline before I export it just because I want to watch it cleanly. I just want to catch any mistakes before I export it. So I grabbed this project, put it on the same SSD that I edited from originally, and I rendered it on my PC and I rendered it on my MacBook. Deleted all the render files, made sure it was a clean, fresh render of the project. And oh my god, I mean, it wasn't even close. You can see my reflection, I think, sometimes in the computer, and I just like started playing Animal Crossing. But you see, if it took that long for the render, how long might it have taken to export, you ask? I don't know. I gave up. I left. I mean, it's a lot of processes that are being done. Again, downscaling the footage, just rendering out all of the effects and the transitions and the music. And my PC handled it just fine. My MacBook, on the other hand, I thought it was gonna die. I stopped the export, unplugged everything, turned off my MacBook, and took a walk. But again, the comparison is staggering. It's unfair. They're two different machines, two different times. They do two different things. But I am one person who works on a variety of things in a variety of different situations, and I just want to show to you guys how much performance, how much time you can save by spending your money smart. So, what's the final conclusion? What do I recommend? What do I think people should do? I think people should be logical. I think you should be smart. I think you should be honest with yourself, your situation, and what you make. There are pros and cons to going the laptop route, and there are pros and cons going towards the PC route. So would I recommend building a PC to my creatives, my fellow artists? Yeah, plainly. I mean, if you just look at the numbers in the test that we ran, especially if you're doing photo or intensive video work or animation, it's not a fair fight. However, there's a reason I bought a laptop first. I needed the portability. I needed to be able to work while I moved. So for most people, especially people that aren't doing very intensive computer tasks, a laptop's the way to go. Honestly, a tablet, iPad, Surfaces, amazing now. So it really all depends on what you're doing, on the kind of person you are, on the tasks that you're performing. And of course, arguably, more important than all of the things I just mentioned, depends on your budget. People often underestimate how the art space and the tech space don't talk about money as much as we should. It's really easy to say that the tools don't matter and it's all about the person, but at the end of the day, the tools do matter. Tools make things easier. That's why they're there. And so to make a video like this, or to try and give any of my friends advice without addressing the very large elephant in the room that is money, that is budget, would be wrong. So what are the things you should be looking at? You should be looking at your budget, the kind of work you're doing, and you should be looking at the things that are important to you. I know when I was starting out into photography, everyone talks about cameras, everyone talks about lenses, no one talks about the computer, the thing that helps you put it all together. And I know so many people personally who are limited in what they're able to create, not by any of the other tools. Their camera is awesome, their work is amazing, but the thing at home just can't put it all together in the way that they see it. It doesn't make it easier, which is what tools should do. They should make the process easier. For some reason in artistic communities, we have this inclination to just make things difficult. We want people to use difficult tools that make the process of creating difficult, but I think one of the goals of technology and art is to be accessible and allow people to create the things that they want and feel like they should be creating. And in a time like now, where it's harder than ever to do this and to make this kind of creative stuff work, I think it's so important for every artist to invest in the tools, not just the fun, cool-looking ones, the tools, the things that put it all together so that you can keep working regardless of the situation you find yourself in. So that's all for me. I'm done ranting. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna be making a lot more of these kinds of videos, talking about cameras, doing some Premiere and Lightroom tutorials, really whatever you guys wanna see, I'm down to make. So again, thank you guys so much for helping my day feel somewhat normal. I'll see you guys in the next one.